Many social scientists study gender by using quantitative analysis. Using quantitative methods entails the collection of data and the application of statistical methods to study this data. Good quantitative analysis, like good qualitative analysis, is driven by a research question. That is, we develop a question or a hypothesis, gather data, and then use that data to assess whether our hypothesis is true or what the answer to our question is. To illustrate how quantitative analysis works, let's look at an example from political science. Let's say we are interested in whether male and female legislators are different in their voting patterns. We may hypothesize that female legislators vote more liberally than their male counterparts. In order to test our hypothesis, we would go out and collect data on the roll call votes of male and female legislators. We would track data on which way each legislator voted on specific bills, yes or no, information about the bills, were they about abortion or gun control or appropriations, and information about the legislators themselves, their gender, the partisanship, their ideology, their race. The key is that we want to gather data about all things that might influence the roll call votes of these legislators. The result will be our data set. In our data set, we are studying legislators. Legislator is our unit of analysis. So the unit of analysis is what you are studying. The unit of analysis varies from study to study. Social scientists examine things like families, workers, politicians, and countries as units of their analysis. In our data set, if we visualize it as a spreadsheet, the units of analysis form the rows, while the variables form the columns. Each bit of information that we track is called a variable. In our simplified example, we have variables for roll call votes, the gender, party identification, and ideology of our legislators. In each analysis, there is a dependent variable, which is what we are interested in explaining, or the effect, and an independent variable, which is the cause. In this situation, our dependent variable, the one we want to explain, is roll call votes, while our key independent variable, the one that explains the dependent variable, is gender. Once we have gathered our data, we can then analyze it. At first, this may seem fairly straightforward. After all, we could simply look at a given bill and see how many women voted for and against it, and how many men voted for and against it. If there are a greater percent of women, then our hypothesis would be supported, right? Well, not exactly. The difficulty here lies in the fact that there are other factors that shape roll call voting. Take a real example. If we look at the voting records of Senator Barbara Boxer from California and Senator Orrin Hatch from Utah, we would see that Senator Boxer votes more liberally than Senator Hatch. But Senator Boxer is also a liberal Democrat, while Senator Hatch is also a conservative Republican. Did Senator Boxer vote more liberally because she is a woman, or because she is a liberal Democrat? In order to develop more definitive answers to our research questions, then, social scientists use statistical analysis to control for the effects of other variables that might explain our dependent variable. What control variables might we include? Party identification, ideology, the opinions of the people they represent, race and ethnicity, among others, in addition to gender. We control for these other variables by holding them constant over a large number of cases, or legislators, using statistical analysis software such as SPSS, Stata, or SAS, which are a few common software packages. So going back to our simplified example, we will compare the roll call votes of Democratic women to Democratic men to see if they are different. We would do the same for Republican men and women. If, as this example shows here, the votes of Democratic women are no different than Democratic men, and the votes of Republican men and women are no different, then we would say that our analysis shows that gender plays no role in shaping roll call voting. Rather, party identification is more important. Or, if we find they do vote differently, as this example shows, then we can say gender is important. It may be even more complicated than that. It may be that it matters for some groups of legislators, say Republicans, but not for others, say Democrats, as this example shows. In fact, this is the conclusion that much of the political science research tends to support. Of course, our examples here are simplified. While these sorts of comparisons seem easy, in fact, they are very complex. Political scientists who study the role of gender in shaping roll call voting, for example, often collect data on hundreds of legislators and hundreds of bills. So we use statistical analysis software to do this controlling for us and produce results which tell us whether or not our hypotheses are supported. The key here is that quantitative analysis relies on the collection of data about the phenomena of interest, such as welfare policy, the decision to run for office, income inequality, or the distribution of labor in households, and then uses that data and statistical techniques to study the effect of gender.